All right, class, we just got done finding the products of two numbers. That means the answer to a multiplication problem. Now we're going to find the quotient of two numbers, of two decimals. Remember, quotient stands for the answer to a division problem, okay? Quotient is the answer to a division problem. Let's go ahead and do that. So what we're gonna do now, you gotta write this down, is divide decimals. Okay, that's what we're doing now. Divide decimals. That's what we're going to do. So remember, what this is over here on the side is quotient. Quotient is the answer to a division problem. Okay, so quotient, I'm going to do it on a cloud like I've been doing. You don't have to draw the cloud if you want to, but there it is. Quotient is the answer to a division problem. Okay, so go ahead and write that down. All right, so one thing we got to know about dividing, right? One thing we got to know about dividing is that we start off with the dividend and we divide. Start off with the dividend, we divide by the divisor, and then this should equal to the quotient. Okay, quotient. So we have the dividend dividing, the dividend will be divided by the divisor and should equal to the quotient. Okay, now we also need to remember that fractions are just division problems. So another way that we could write this, it looks like this, that the dividend divided by, that's this symbol right here, divided by the divisor should equal, again, the quotient. And so, getting into division real quick, right? So one way that we can remember this is a little saying I like to use called the top is getting rained on. The top is getting rained on. Where does it want to go? Well, it wants to go inside, right? The dividend wants to go inside, right? Inside the house. The divisor, he's the crazy one. He wants to stay outside, and right? And then we end up doing this division problem, and what do we get up here at the top? At the top, he's the really crazy one. That's the quotient. That's the answer, right? So this is just a way to remember the actual steps and where things go when we're dividing, okay? When we're dividing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause it there. Okay, go ahead and start with examples. So we're going to have example 1. $12.5 divided by 5 equals question mark. Okay, here we go. Now remember, this is the dividend divided by the divisor should equal to the quotient, right? You gotta keep up with those vocabulary words, right? So remember, you can easily write this on top, 12.5 over 5, right? So this is the dividend divided by the divisor should equal still, again, we don't know yet, the quotient, right? And just like I said before, right? Just like I said before, 12.5, which is the dividend, is getting rained on. Where does it want to go? It wants to go inside. 12.5 will go inside, right? And the divisor is the crazy one. He wants to stay outside, right? He wants to stay outside while it's raining, right? And so the first thing we want to do is bring up this decimal. We want to do that first so we don't have to worry about it later. We know that this is where the decimal is in the quotient. So we don't got to worry about that anymore until we get to the very end, right? So 5 goes into 1, 0, right? 5 goes into 12, right? 5 goes into 12 2 times. You got to get your multiplication going, right? 5 times 2 is 10. 12 minus 10 is 2. We go ahead and bring this 5 down now. We've got to bring it straight down. And then 5 goes into 25 5 times. Let me move this out of the way. 5 times. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 minus 25, we get remainder 0, which is what we wanted. So we have our dividend divisor. What's this called up here? The quotient. So we now know that 12.5 divided by 5 is equal to 2.5. That's my answer. And again, you can have an arrow going pointer here, or you could have even erased this and just wrote 12.5 divided by 5 is equal to 2.5. Okay. That's example number 1. You can go ahead and pause the video there. All right. Let's go ahead and go to example number 2. All right, example number 2. We're going to do 12.5 divided by 12.5 divided by 2.5. Okay, 12.5 divided by 2.5. Now, think about this is, let's just say, we do not want division, our divisor, to be a decimal. We don't want that. And since we don't want that, we want to go ahead and get rid of this decimal by multiplying the numerator and denominator by 10. The reason we're going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 10 is one thing called equivalent fractions, right? Equivalent fractions we talked about in 4th grade and 5th grade. And what this does is it gives us an equivalent fraction, a fraction that is equal. It looks different, but it's equal, okay? And so what this multiplying by 10 will do, it's going to move over this decimal so that our numerator is 125. And it's going to move over this decimal in the denominator, which is going to equal 25, okay? So we're going to end up with this fraction. Now, this fraction and this fraction, these are called equivalent fractions. Okay, they're called equivalent fractions, which means they have the same value, they just look different. So if you were to type this in the calculator and this in the calculator, you're going to get the same exact answer. You can get the same exact answer, okay? So let's go ahead and figure out what this one is. We're going to simplify this one. 125 is getting rained on. Where does it want to go? It wants to go inside. And then 25 is crazy. He wants to stay outside. He's crazy, right? And then we got to figure out how many times 25 goes into 125. So you come over here and do, okay, 25 times 4. We know that's 100. That's quarters, right? Quarters. And so we think it's one more. 25 times 5. 5, carry the 2. 2 times 5 is 10. Plus 2, 12. 125. So we know 5 goes right here above the 5. Data 125. 25 times 5 is 125. 125 minus 125 is 0. Got a remainder 0. So our quotient ended up being 5. Okay? Ended up being 5. So we know that 12.5 divided by 2.5, we're going to get 5 as our answer. Now, if you notice from example 1, right? The example 1 was 12.5 divided by 5. What do we get? 2.5. And here we get 12.5 divided by 2.5. What do we get? 5. Okay, just something to notice. Okay, something to notice. Okay? All right, we're going to stop there. We will continue on with more examples of dividing decimals in the next video. Appreciate it, guys.